Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're really diving into something specific, economic crimes.
Right. But those acts focus purely on financial gain. We're talking property crime.
Exactly. And we want to look beyond just, the basic definition of theft. We're digging into the history, the systems, even the surprising ways these things get organized.
Yeah, our mission today is really to trace the evolution of the thief. How did we get from, say, historical opportunists to the highly specialized, almost professional criminals we see today?
It's about how crime itself sort of professionalized.
Exactly.
And the history is, well, it's long. Our sources show this motivation financial gain through crime goes back centuries, even back in the 11th century.
Crusaders, right. Taking possessions from infidels as they saw it.
Yeah. Then fast forward to the 13th century, and you've got pilgrims, religious pilgrims even, stealing and poaching just to get by on their journeys.
But those were more maybe opportunistic. It wasn't until around the 18th century that you start seeing real dedicated roles emerge.
Like what?
Well, skilled thieves, smugglers who knew the routes and the tricks, poachers who made a living off it. They were essentially building careers around avoiding the law and dealing in illicit goods.
Okay, so that sets the stage. And that brings us neatly to the 19th century, which sounds like a real turning point, an innovation arms race, as our sources put it.
Oh, absolutely. This is when specialized property crime really took off. And it was driven by technology, interestingly enough. New tech created new targets and new ways to stop the criminals.
Let's talk trains. Big invention, right?
Huge. And for criminals, they were seen as easy pickings. Imagine valuable goods, cash, moving across huge areas with hardly any policing.
And the escape.
The rail lines themselves, predictable routes, easy to follow, easy to get away. So, yeah, train robbery just flourished for a while there.
But it didn't last forever. The railroads pushed back.
They had to. The losses were mounting. So security got better, much better. New tactics, telegraphs for communication, more guards.
Should have worked.
Amazingly well and quickly. The sources suggest that by about 1920, specialized train robbery, pretty much gone. It just wasn't worth the risk anymore. The countermeasures were too effective.
That whole dynamic tech creates opportunity, criminals exploit, countermeasures adapt. It's like a core theme here.
It really is. You see the exact same pattern with safes, the technology duel.
Right. So early 1900s, safes were often just cast iron. Pretty basic.
Yeah, relatively easy to get into if you knew how.
Mm-hmm.
So manufacturers started innovating. They moved to alternating sheets of copper and steel, much harder to drill through.
Okay, so the thieves just gave up.
Not at all. They adapted. They didn't try to brute force the new materials. They changed tactics. They started going after the locks, the hinges, the weaker points.
Ah, clever. So the manufacturers had to respond again.
Yep. They started lining safes with special metals, stuff designed to actually break the drill bits the safecrackers were using. It was this constant back and forth.
But what finally tipped the scales against the old school safecracker, it wasn't just stronger metal, was it?
No, the real game changer was electronics. Later in the 20th century, sophisticated stuff. Light beams, pressure sensors, alarms, motion detectors, even ultrasonic systems.
So the safe didn't need to be truly impenetrable anymore.
Exactly. It just needed to buy time and trigger an alarm before the job was done. That pretty much ended the so-called golden age of physical safecracking.
Okay, so this whole history of adaptation and countermeasures, it helps us understand the types of thieves operating today, right?
Absolutely. It leads us to basically two broad categories based on how they approach crime, risk, and, well, planning.
So first, you've got the occasional thieves.
Right. These aren't people organizing their lives around crime. Not really. Their decision to steal is usually spontaneous. It's driven by what the research calls situational inducements.
Situational inducements, meaning what exactly? Like the situation itself tempts them.
Pretty much. It's a short-term thing in their environment that makes the risk seem really low right then and there. It's not a big planned heist. It's spotting, say, an expensive phone left on a table for a second.
Or a shoplifter seeing a distracted cashier near an open register.
Exactly. The opportunity presents itself, the perceived risk is momentarily low, and boom, the decision is made. It's about the immediate context, not long-term criminal intent.
Okay, so that's one type. What's the contrast?
The professional thieves. These individuals make a real chunk, maybe even all, of their income from crime.
They treat it like a job.
Very much so. They pursue it seriously. They often learn the trade from older, more experienced criminals, like an apprenticeship. They hone their skills.
And they probably don't just dabble in everything.
No, they tend to specialize. They focus their intelligence and skills on specific types of crime where they can be most effective and, crucially, minimize their chances of getting caught. It's structured almost like a legitimate profession in its organization.
And like any organized system, you start needing specialized roles. Which brings us to the fence. You can't really talk about the business of theft without them.
Absolutely critical. The fence is defined as someone whose entire living comes from buying and reselling stolen goods. They're the bridge between the thief and the market.
They create the liquidity, basically, without a fence.
The professional thief is just sitting on a pile of hot property they can't easily turn into cash. So that relationship is key.
Which implies a certain level of trust. Or maybe business integrity within that world.
Yes, sources mention personal integrity being important for thieves to maintain those relationships. They need reliable fences. This is different from the occasional fence who might just dabble, maybe has a legit business on the side and fences things occasionally.
Okay, so let's scale that professionalism way up. What about really large-scale operations?
That's where you get into things like professional cargo theft. These aren't small-time operators. They target the massive global logistics network, ships, planes, trucks, moving billions in goods.
Wait, so this isn't just one guy grabbing a box off a truck. This sounds complex.
Oh, it's incredibly complex. These operations often employ specialists, people who know how to handle logistics, unload cargo quickly, manage drivers, maybe have inside access to warehouses or ports.
And they need reliable fences capable of handling huge volumes of stolen merchandise, right? Pushing it onto the black market fast.
Exactly. It requires significant planning, capital, and a well-oiled network. It's a serious, organized business operation, just an illegal one.
So we have these organized structures, the fences, the cargo thieves, but what's the actual crime they're often dealing in? The bread and butter, so to speak.
That would likely be larceny theft. It's probably the single most common criminal offense, globally speaking.
And how is that broken down legally?
Usually, state laws divide it based on the value of what's stolen. You have petty larceny or petty theft for lower value items.
And grand larceny for things above a certain dollar amount.
Correct. And that distinction is crucial because it dictates how serious the charge is, potential jail time, fines, everything.
Within larceny, shoplifting is obviously huge. Who's doing most of that?
Yeah.
Professionals.
Mostly no. The majority are often described as amateur pilferers,
Yeah.
occasional thieves, basically, acting on those situational inducements we talked about.
Which creates a real headache for retailers. How do they stop it without getting sued if they detain the wrong person?
That's where merchant privilege laws come in. Maybe states have them. They offer retailers and their staff some legal protection against lawsuits for false arrest, provided they acted reasonably.
So that allows them to actually use prevention strategies.
Right. Things like target removal, taking valuable items off easy display, target hardening, locking things up,
Yeah.
using security tags, and just general situational deterrence, visible cameras, attentive staff.
But larceny isn't just physical stuff, right? Financial crimes fall under this too.
Absolutely. Bad checks are a classic example. You have naive forgers who might pass one bad check impulsively versus systematic forgers who make a practice of it.
And then there's credit card theft, identity theft. Huge problems today.
Huge. And we also need to be clear on a couple of specific legal terms here that often get confused. First is false pretenses, or fraud.
Okay, what's the key there?
Fraud is about misrepresentation, lying about a fact to trick the victim into willingly handing over their property. The wrongdoer then keeps it. You're deceived into giving it up.
So like a con artist running a fake investment scheme, they trick you into giving them money.
Exactly. Now contrast that with embezzlement.
How's that different?
Embezzlement happens when someone is already trusted with property or funds and they convert it for their own use. Think of an accountant with legal access to company money who siphons it off.
So the key is that initial position of trust. They didn't have to trick you to get access initially. They already had it.
Precisely. That breach of trust is the defining element of embezzlement.
Got it. What about auto theft, another big category?
Yep, and like cargo theft, it splits between amateurs and professionals. The pros often target specific vehicles,
Why specific ones?
ones that bring the best return on the used part market. Or they might use sophisticated methods like car cloning.
Car cloning, what's that involve?
It's pretty advanced. They steal a car, then give it the identity, the VIN, the plates, of a similar legally registered car. It makes the stolen car look legitimate, so it can be resold much more easily. Very hard to trace.
Wow. Okay, and the amateurs. Why do they steal cars?
All sorts of reasons, usually not high finance. Could be joyriding, just needing a ride somewhere short-term, maybe keeping it for longer-term transport, or even using the stolen car to commit another crime.
Okay, moving on from larceny. Let's talk burglary. What's the specific definition there?
Burglary is the unlawful entry into a structure, could be a house, an office, whatever, with the intent to commit a theft or some other felony inside.
And it's mostly homes.
Overwhelmingly. About 75% of burglars involve homes or residences. And while some burglars might be crude, just smashing a window opportunistically.
The experienced ones plan it out.
Definitely. Sources emphasize that experienced burglars develop a strategy. They might case the place, figure out routines, look for weaknesses.
And sometimes they hit the same place twice.
Yeah, repeat burglary is a thing. Why? Efficiency, basically.
Yeah.
They already know the layout, the potential security flaws. It takes less effort and risk than scouting a totally new target. It's, again, a sort of dark efficiency argument.
This planning and skill leads to this idea mentioned in the sources, the good burglar. What defines that?
It's kind of a profile based on 5 traits. Technical skill, obviously, but also maintaining that personal integrity we talked about, being reliable within their network. Specialization is key, financial success from the crimes, and, maybe most importantly,
Staying out of jail.
exactly, the ability to avoid prison sentences is a major marker of success in this view.
And statistically, it's mostly men.
About 83% male, yes. But it's worth noting over 30,000 women are still arrested for burglary each year. It's not exclusively male.
There's also a darker side where the motive isn't just financial, right? Sexual burglary.
Yes, unfortunately. This involves illegal entry linked to sexual motivations. It's classified into types like fetishistic non-contact, versal contact, and sexually oriented contact burglaries. A reminder that not all property crime is about money.
Okay, one last major category, arson.
The willful, malicious burning of property, homes, buildings, cars, businesses.
When it involves kids, juvenile fire setters, there seem to be different profiles.
Yes, experts classify them, which is crucial for knowing how to help. You have the sort of innocent playing with matches type, then the crying for help type, using fire to signal distress.
Then maybe more troubled types.
Right, the delinquent fire setter, using it as part of broader antisocial behavior. And finally, the severely disturbed fire setter, often indicating deeper psychological issues needing serious clinical help.
But just like theft, there's a professional angle too. Arson for profit.
Absolutely. These aren't kids playing around. Professional arsonists develop skills to set fires but make them look like accidents, usually for insurance fraud.
Which is called arson fraud.
Typically, yes. It often involves a business owner, maybe deep in debt, who burns their own property or hires someone to do it to collect the insurance payout. A calculated financial move disguised as a disaster.
Okay, wow. We've covered a lot, from 11th century Crusaders to modern car cloning and arson fraud. Let's try to wrap this up. So what does this all mean? What's the big picture?
I think the big picture is that property crime is defined by this constant dynamic interplay, this arms race. You see criminal intent, from opportunistic pilgrims to highly specialized safecrackers, constantly adapting to new opportunities and, crucially, new security measures.
That evolution from the 19th century, the specialization, it's just accelerated. Now we have these complex criminal organizations like the cargo thieves, tackling modern logistics and security.
Right. And the key takeaway for you listening might be how the most, let's say, successful thieves, the ones who stay in the game, often mirror legitimate professions. They specialize, they build networks, they maintain a kind of functional business integrity within those networks.
They treat crime like a career, focused on long-term gain and, critically, avoiding getting caught.
Exactly. Which brings up a really interesting final thought, circling back to that good burglar idea. If success is measured partly by financial gain, but heavily by the ability to avoid prison, and we know repeat victimization happens and specialization is intense,
Yeah.
how does that very ability to stay out of jail shape the ongoing evolution of professional theft? Does it make it a more resilient, adaptable, maybe even disturbingly sustainable career path for some?
That's definitely something to chew on. The idea that the organizational skills needed for major crime might not look so different from those needed for legitimate success. A fascinating, if unsettling, thought.